Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create an effective pitch deck. Whether you're looking to raise funds or looking to present to stakeholders or partners, this video should give you a nice outline of what a pitch deck is, how to create one, and tips and tricks on how to present it and create effective presentations with your pitch deck. Okay, so we're going to cover a few things. I have some notes here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I put some notes together for you guys. And I'm going to put this video in 4 segments. And the segments are going to include, number 1, how to understand what a pitch deck is, because some people don't understand what they're using it for. And there's several uses and several ways to develop an effective pitch deck. Number 2, crafting the perfect pitch deck. Number 3, tools and resources for your pitch deck creation. And number 4, tips for success and how to avoid common pitfalls when you're developing your pitch deck. So let's get started. Understanding your pitch deck. So a pitch deck is a brief presentation that provides an overview for your business. It's critical to pitching investors, stakeholders, or potential partners or established partners. There's 2 different kinds of pitch decks. One is an investor pitch deck, and the other is a sales pitch deck. An investor pitch deck is exactly what it sounds like. It's to present to investors, right? So if you're looking to raise capital, either through debt or equity, you're looking to sell a certain percentage of your company, or you're looking to bring in a large venture capital firm, you want to put together an investor pitch deck. If you're starting your business or have an established business and you're looking for customers, you're going to look to put together a sales pitch deck. This is usually a pitch deck or a PowerPoint presentation that shows your products or services. And the whole goal of that pitch deck is to sell your products or services, exactly what it sounds like. So those are the 2 different types of pitch decks. In that vein, there's also 2 other different kinds of pitch decks, and they're called elevator pitch decks or full presentation pitch decks. So sometimes you see a pitch deck that has less words and a lot of graphics. Those are elevator pitch decks. Those are great when presenting. Then you see the pitch decks that are 30, 40, 50 slides. Very comprehensive, almost like a business plan, and full of detail. Those are presentation pitch decks or full presentation decks. Okay? Most of the time when you're putting together an elevator pitch deck, it's because you're presenting it somewhere, right? And what you don't want is of such a comprehensive pitch deck that people are reading the pitch deck while you're talking or presenting. So you put the key points of your presentation on the pitch deck, and then verbatim, right, verbally, you're expressing those points. So they're listening to you and they're getting the gist of it when they're looking at the pitch deck. An entire presentation or a full presentation deck is usually more for like corporate presentations, or you're trying to get across something very complicated and you're going to spend a lot of time on a slide. Sometimes they're not even presented. Full presentation decks sometimes are just emailed out or handed out so people can follow along. But keep in mind those 2 different types of presentations, because if you're presenting, if you're speaking somewhere and you want to be the center of focus, you want an elevator pitch deck, not a full presentation deck. So those are the 2 different types of pitch decks: investor pitch deck versus a sales pitch deck, and a presentation deck versus an elevator deck. Who needs a pitch deck? Established startups or startups looking to fund their business usually need a pitch deck. If you're going to go present to venture capital, if you're going to go present to friends and family, if you're going to go present to an institution or a group of potential investors, you generally need a pitch deck. If you're an established business and you're looking to expand, or you're looking for partnerships, you're probably going to want a pitch deck to succinctly express your ideas, your business, or your venture. And of course, I think it's always a great idea for all established businesses or startups to put together a pitch deck for their services or products, right? I develop business plans, pitch decks, I do LLC formations, I do a lot of consulting, investor relations. When I send out an email, I always attach my pitch deck, my sales pitch deck, right? Which tells them, hey, look, this is who I am. This is my background. This is how many years I've been doing it. I went to business school. I went to law school. I worked on Wall Street. And these are the services I provide: pitch deck development, business plan development. And then these are my prices. This is my timeline, and this is how you contact me, right? Everything necessary to make an informed decision should be given in a sales pitch deck, right? That way, in case they get it without you talking to them, they know exactly what you do, where you do it, when you do it, and how you do it, okay? And just as an aside, who, what, where, when, and why, right? Those are the key fundamentals of almost any business presentation, not just a pitch deck. It could be an executive summary or business plan, but keep those things in mind so you don't overcomplicate things for yourself. Next point, key objectives of a pitch deck. The key objectives of a pitch deck are to capture interest or provide a compelling business story. Those are the key objectives. And the next objectives are to outline the problem, solution, or potential market. Now, we can go in depth onto what sections you want in your pitch deck, and it really depends on what you're trying to do. But generally, who, what, where, when, and why. State your business summary, the products and services you sell. Problem and solution are usually when you're trying to get an investor, right? So when you're trying to get an investor, they say, solve a big problem, you're going to get a big paycheck, right? So the problem, solution, and the potential market size are essential to telling your story. Make sure you include that when you're putting together a pitch deck because that is what people are looking for, right? So for example, for me, people are generally looking for funding, right, when they come to me for a business plan or pitch deck. So that's the problem. They need money in their business. The solution is if I write a good business plan for you, you'll get the SBA loan. If I put together a good investor presentation, you'll get the investment. That's the solution, okay? The next topic I want to go over under essentials and understanding your pitch deck is the essential components of the pitch deck, right? So we went over a little bit of this. Always remember the macro, who, what, where, when, and why. But definitely your problem, your solution, your market size, your business model, your your team, and your financials. These are the core, right? So usually on the first page, you want a quick executive summary, then the problem, solution, market size, business model, traction, team, and financial. So problem and solution we just went over. Market size is who's your potential customer. So for me, it could be entrepreneurs or small businesses looking for funding. Business model, right? What is it that you sell? What is it that you do again and again and again to make money? So for me, it's advertising, then taking in the calls, and providing an invoice to somebody or potential customer, right? Writing the business plan, delivering, and then closing that transaction out. That business model can be repeated again and again, and you want to include your business model in your pitch deck. Then traction. Do you have any traction in your business? Do you have any momentum? Right, is another word for that. So for example, for me, traction would be 10 years in business, over 2,000 clients, right? That's the traction. What it does is it shows the reader or the listener that you've made progress in your business, okay? The next thing you should include for an essential parts of your business pitch deck is your team, right? If it's just you, highlight yourself. Tell them about your experiences. Tell them about your education. If you do have a team, make sure you succinctly put together a slide that showcases the whole team. Investors love to invest in a team. They love to invest in a team that they think can make it happen. So once you have the problem and the solution outlined and you've already targeted the market, the right market, right? The next question they're going to have is who's going to actually get this done? And do we believe that we can get this done? So if you say, look, I'm going to launch rockets into space, but your team is a group of chefs, right, that only worked in kitchens, well, it's less believable, right? Now, meanwhile, if you're going to start a catering business and your team is a group of chefs, right, the investor's more than likely going to lean into that and say, okay, these guys have the experience to make that happen. And then, of course, your financials. This is going to project how much you're going to make, how much you're going to spend, and how much you're going to profit, right, over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, up to 5 years generally on a pitch deck. I have another video on YouTube that describes exactly everything you need to know about projecting your financial projections. So I won't get too in-depth into that in this video, but make sure you include it in your pitch deck. The benefits of a strong pitch deck is it creates a strong first impression, right? So if you get it right, generally they look and they go, oh, that's interesting, or oh, I want to learn more, right? That's generally what a pitch deck does. And hopefully it clearly communicates a business vision, right? So if you have a vision for the next 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10, 20 years of your business, your pitch deck should communicate that to the reader. And lastly, under the first segment here, common misconceptions about a pitch deck. A lot of people think a pitch deck is just about the slides. You need to include every detail of your business, or only startups need a pitch deck. These are all fallacies, right? It's not just about the slides. It may be about the presentation or the email that goes along with the slide, or the business plan that follows up the pitch deck, right? That you need to include every single detail in the business. This is generally definitely not the case, right? That's more what a business plan is for. A pitch deck is to give them the idea or a summary of all the parts of the business plan and really have you present it. At the end of a good pitch deck, they should generally say, send me more information. I'd love to learn more, right? And then the third misconception is that only startups need a pitch deck, right? If you're presenting to any kind of investor, whether you're established or a startup, you probably need a pitch deck. And I recommend that all businesses have a sales pitch deck, right? That shows, hey, look, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is how we do it. This is when we do it. This is how you can get a hold of us. Okay, so the next segment, I want to talk a little bit about crafting your pitch deck, right? So putting it together. You want to start with a compelling introduction. So your opening slide should really grab the attention. It should definitely be the company's name, logo, and a powerful tagline. So when they're done with the first slide, as soon as you open that up, they should know who you are. They should know your brand identity, right? And that tagline should succinctly state, right, who you are and what you do. So for example, one of my taglines on my service pitch decks is, crafting perfect business plans, right? Well, they know, right? Crafting perfect pitch decks. They know exactly what I do, okay? And then a brief overview of your business and what you're trying to do is sometimes included in the first slide. But if you have a good tagline, you really don't need that because it's going to succinctly state what you do, okay? The next thing to crafting your perfect pitch deck is defining your problem, right? Defining the problem, I should say. So you want to clearly state the problem that the business aims to solve and use data and real world examples to highlight this and highlight the problem, the significance of the problem, right? So for example, if you're in a food desert, as they're called, right? So for example, in a lot of middle America, you can drive for an hour and a half and there's no restaurants, right? Or there's no places to stop to get a decent meal. That's a problem, right? You want to clearly define that problem and show how your business solves that problem, right? So for me, it's, entrepreneurs don't have a lot of options for cost-effective business solutions, right? So when I started my business plan and pitch deck business, I remember going to other consultants and they were wanting to charge 5,000, 10,000 for a pitch deck. Or 10,000 for a business plan or feasibility study, right? And while that's great for some established business, for a lot of startup businesses, it's just unfeasible, right? So that was a big problem that I wanted to solve. And when you're putting together a pitch deck, you want to make sure that you're clearly defining that problem and saying, look, this is the problem. This is how many entrepreneurs or small businesses there are in the United States. And this is how I'm going to solve that problem by giving cost-effective solutions for entrepreneurs in 7 days or less, right? So clearly define it and highlight it with real-world examples, right? Like I told you, there's 30 million small businesses, or there's 5 million small businesses in Connecticut, and this problem has been emphasized by how many people got rejected for SBA loans, and this is how I plan to solve it. So try to get detail here. And then presenting your solution, right, which is part of what I just did. Introduce your product or service as the solution, right? So once you identify the problem, hey, this is the major problem. People don't have clean water, right? Then the solution. Our water is the cleanest water on the planet and will be accessible to all. Or our filters are the cleanest, can make your water clean and are accessible to all. Explain how it addresses the problem effectively, right? So it's not just we have filters and it'll solve it. We have filters that can be shipped anywhere in the world, and we offer a payment plan so anyone can afford it. So explain how it addresses the problem effectively, okay? Topic number 4 here under crafting your pitch deck. Define your target market and market size. Use market research and support your claims. So a little tip here, make sure you're niche enough in your target market, right? So for example, when I started my business, most people would say, well, what's your target market? Well, businesses. Well, businesses is too broad, right? Pepsi's probably not going to hire me today to write a pitch deck. They have an in-house team to do that. So they're off the mark, right? They're definitely off the mark. You want to define it specifically. So small businesses with under 4 employees, right, in Connecticut. That would be a market opportunity because I'm located in Connecticut, right? Even though I have services all over the country, you in the pitch deck in your sales presentation, make sure you define your target market and your market size. The next topic you want to put in there is the business model. Explain how your business will make money. That's what the business model is, right? And include a pricing strategy, a sales channels, and revenue streams, right? So a pricing strategy could be, I'm gonna undercut the market, or I'm gonna charge a premium to make sure that I'm premium. Louis Vuitton is a premium pricing model, right? Um, a coffee a gas station that sells coffee at 99 cents may be undercut pricing strategy, right? Sales channels. If I'm putting my services for sale at a mall, that's a sales channel. If I'm doing it only on Facebook, that's a sales channel. E-commerce, that's a sales channel, right? And then revenue streams. Business plans are a revenue stream. Pitch decks are a revenue stream. LLC formations are a revenue stream for me, right? So those are the 3 things you want to include in the business model slide. And then highlight the traction and milestones. We talked about this a little bit. Showcase key achievements, sales figures, user growth, partnerships, and use graphs and charts to represent these visually. That way people can see it right away, right? People love to jump on a moving train. They love to see something that has progress growing. So traction is important. And lastly, introduce your team, right? People love to invest in teams. It's just safer, right? So if I invested in a business and there's only one person there and he dies, my investment's out the window. Meanwhile, if I invested in a business and there's 12 people there, if one person dies, not a big deal. So introduce your team, highlight their expertise and experience, um, and make sure you include photos, titles, and bios. Okay. Now, the final 2 segments. In the third segment, I'm going to talk about tools and resources for pitch deck creation. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about tips for success and common pitfalls in pitch deck. So really quickly, tools and resources. Find a good template. That's the best place to start if you're going to develop your own pitch deck, right? There's places like Canva, Slidebean, Pitch Deck Coach. There's a ton of them out there, but just Google templates for pitch decks and you'll be able to find them. Design tools like PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides. This is important. They have strong templates in Google Slides and PowerPoint as well. Start with those tools. Storytelling techniques, right? Structure your pitch like a story, a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's the easiest way to not have to look down all the time when you're presenting it, and it helps the person follow along, right? Visual aids and graphics. Try to include as many visual aids and graphics. People like to learn with pictures. That's why TV is so popular, right? That's why video is so popular. So visual aids and graphics, the more you can include in there to get across your point, wherever you can replace a paragraph with a picture and the picture can tell the story instead of the paragraph, it's usually a better idea. Financial projection tools like Live Plan or Projection Hub. Excel has some templates that you can use and then copy and paste in your pitch deck are also great tools. And then practice, right? This is another resource, right? Practice and feedback. It's important to rehearse the pitch deck, practice it, tell people to chew you up and spit you out when it comes to, feedback. Don't accept yeah, that was great, right? Tell them to poke and prod on your pitch deck presentation so you get better. And then website, blogs, and forums for pitch deck advice, just go Googling. YouTube has a ton of great videos. I hope that's where you found me, and I have a ton of other videos on pitch deck creation, and then network with other entrepreneurs for support and guidance, okay? So final segment here for pitch deck creation, how to create the perfect pitch deck, tips for success and common pitfalls. The number 1 tip, keep it clear and concise and simple. More simple, the better, right? Avoid information overload and focus on the key points that you want to get across, okay? So keep it simple, focus on the key points. Tailor your pitch to your audience, right? You got to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to a team of lawyers, the pitch deck may want to be presented one way as opposed to if you're talking to a team of people that are not lawyers, right? If you're talking to industry professionals in your field, for example, if you're a tech startup and you're talking to an audience of tech entrepreneurs, your pitch deck is going to be different than if you were talking to investors who are not tech entrepreneurs, right? You may have to explain certain things to the non-tech entrepreneurs that you wouldn't have to explain to the other audience. So make sure your pitch is created to your audience and what they care about, and customize the pitch deck to different investors or partners, right? It'll create more effectiveness in your pitch deck presentation. Highlight your unique value proposition. Every business is different for a reason. For example, my business, I'm a business plan writer, but I graduated business school and law school and worked on Wall Street, right? There may be other business plan writers that graduated business school, but maybe not law school. I also speak Spanish, right? I speak Portuguese. So those are all things that make me unique. Clearly state what's in your business. This is going to be important because it'll help you set yourself apart from everybody else and emphasize those unique selling points. And then stay authentic and stay passionate, right? Tonality matters. Being genuine, enthusiastic about your business will attract investors, will attract partners, will attract the right people into your business. And let your passion show on your business presentation. Then the last two tips: use data wisely. So support your claims with credible data. Avoid data overload, but make sure you're using credible data. Census.gov, research reports, medical journals, professional business journals. Those are key resources that you can point to and say, hey, look, I didn't make this up, right? I got this data from Harvard. I got this data from the Census Bureau. I got this data from the government. And then continuously improve, right? So the first iteration of your pitch deck will not be the last. Do it again, reiterate it, present it, get feedback, let people poke holes in it, and then do it again, reiterate it, right? Improve it. So constantly improve your pitch deck. So I hope this was helpful. That's all for today's video on pitch decks. I know I was a little long-winded, but hopefully that gives you everything you need to develop the perfect pitch deck. If you need help developing a pitch deck, I can always help you guys develop a pitch deck. Reach out to me in the links below or comment on this video. I'll reach back out to you. And if you are a business owner and you're just getting started, remember, keep going, right? Not giving up. Persistence is one of the key attributes of most successful businesses. If you're an established business and you hit a plateau, keep going, keep iterating. Trust me, the breakthrough will happen. And if you need help, always reach out. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe, like, share with somebody that you think can use this information, and I'll see you guys on the next video.